I am here today with Diana Scotthorn, the founder of the Benefit Link, and I just have a couple questions for you. What is the biggest benefit of getting a Medicare supplement and life insurance policy together? What's the biggest benefit of doing so?
Well, for one thing, you get it both taken care of. I mean, that's, I think, one of the biggest things is that you're getting it taken care of, because what happens is a lot of times people want to get their Medicare supplement taken care of, then worry about the life insurance later. And when you're losing group insurance, you're losing your life insurance, and they know they are, but all they're thinking of, let me get my Medicare taken care of. But what typically happens, they get their Medicare taken care of, they go on, they don't think about it, then something happens to a friend or somebody, and now they're thinking about it. And a couple of things. Sometimes they put themselves in positions where they do not qualify. Right. And then second of all, they're older and it's more expensive. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and be 4 or 5 years down the line and they're saying, wait, that's not how much you told me it was going to be. And I said, well, remember, you were 65 then, not 70. And they go, I should have done it when I talked to you originally. Right. That's one thing. The other thing is there are companies that offer Medicare supplements and the individual whole life as a combination where you actually get discounted preferred rates. Now, a lot of the times you have to be in more preferred health, right, which gives you even better premium. And you'll find that the Medicare supplement with the whole life together combined for preferred health people is better than a lot of the plans just with the Medicare supplement individually. Second of all, part of your premium never goes up. The part that's designated towards the whole life, and it's earning cash value. So there's a portion of your premium according to the amount that you're paying, and then the time frame. It usually takes right around 2 years that you're getting some cash investment in it, where there's a surrender charge, where if you were to leave the policy, you don't just have nothing, you have something to show for it. Because there's two kinds of life policies. There's term life, and then there's whole life. And I always tell people this, term life is for a certain term. And let's just face it, your only benefit of a term life policy is if you die during the period of time.
You don't have a living benefit as well.
Yeah, that's right. And
yeah.
So, I mean, that's not exactly what your hopes is, right? And so, that's right. And then after it terminates, at that time to take it out, it goes up drastically. So one of the other big advantages is that your premium for your whole life policy, whatever age you go in, the younger you are, right, the better, because it locks in at that amount.
Never increases. And so you have a living benefit and a death benefit. Realistically, when you have a whole life insurance policy, it's building a living benefit of cash value. If you, just like she said, if you were ever to surrender the policy, that you've built in equity into that plan. And that's right. We have a lot of clients that, actually the vast majority of our clients that do that. So when they're originally stepping into Medicare, they're not only getting their supplemental insurance, but life insurance too. And arguably, well, truthfully, that's the lowest the rate's ever going to be, because right, it only gets more expensive as you get
that's right,
more progressed in life. I don't like to use the word older, but as you get more progressed in life, it's going to be more expensive. Health conditions absolutely play the factor, and it all just keeps increasing. So 100%. We have tons of clients that really value their Medicare and life insurance together because, one, God forbid something ever happened to their spouse, family member, whoever that policy goes to, not only is their health insurance covered, but now they've got a life insurance policy too.
And the other thing is the benefit pays immediately. We just had a client, somebody just a month ago, 67 years old, took out a life policy with her Medicare supplement, healthy, perfectly healthy, has absolutely to what we knew, any kind of health conditions. And then exactly 4 weeks later, her nephew called on a Monday. You probably remember that. And his aunt had passed away, and that benefit paid on day one. She'd made one premium, and it paid the whole amount. The other thing is, I think that as we get older, we begin to think about things that are a little bit more important, and nobody wants to think about a plan for when you die, right, period. Let's just face it, that's not like the exciting topic you want to do. But there always comes that point when people start thinking, oh, I should get something taken care of. The other thing is, even if people already have burial expenses paid for, because a lot of the clients will say, well, I've already got my burial plan. You know, this is really a little extra protection for hidden things that might come up in your future. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We may think we have money in savings and suddenly everything's going up, the taxes are going up, the cost is going up, the groceries are going up, the gasoline's going up. And what we thought we had in savings, we're pulling out to put over here. Or we may think, we've got a secure investment in stocks and then the stock market crashes. And we don't want all of our assets liquid anyway, because the simple fact of the matter is the times are changing, the economy is changing. And so I think it's just a solid investment where it's there, it's going to pay on day one. And quite frankly, Brittany, I've never seen, not one client have I ever talked to ever when it's time for them to receive a policy because a spouse has passed away that said, oh, please don't send it. I've got more than enough money. They're losing a part of their income, their spouse, the Social Security. So, all the way around, it's just really smart to do that.
And those are the hardest calls. So we just had one of your longtime clients that her husband had passed away unexpectedly. They went in for a report, thought it was going to be good, and unfortunately it really wasn't. And she called, I got to personally speak with her. We had to make sure the insurance was all taken care of. She wasn't going to get billed on the old Medicare Supplement policy. Thankfully he got sent down to MD Anderson, didn't have a bill from his Medicare Supplement Insurance, 100% paid for. They were doing a lot of traveling back and forth, and even though it was a smaller life insurance benefit, but she was so grateful to have it. Incredible. She was in tears. It was an incredibly hard call, but it was also, she was so joyful because she said, Brittany, we have so much going on. They actually still had to wait for him to come back from Houston because they wouldn't release him. And so it was just one little thing that we could give, some hope and grace to her over, is that, I know it's not a lot, but thank God that she had a lot to go through. Financial things that they have to all separate and make sure that are paid for, taken care of, but her health care was paid for and she got a small benefit. They had situations of, just like you said, where their burial insurance was already set up, but that life insurance, her travel back and forth to Houston, little things like you said that you don't know, unexpected expenses, that the life insurance was such a blessing to her, and she was incredibly grateful. So we have lots of clients. I could go on testimony after testimony where they may have only made a few payments, a couple years worth of payments, and sure enough, the spouse receives a huge benefit.
Well, another thing that's pretty exciting, though, and especially after being here 34 years, I can attest to this, is when people get a combination plan and then it's 3, 4, 5 years down the line and we're checking on them, because we do, right. And maybe their current carrier, the premium's gone up, and we're saying, let's see if we can't move you to a place where you don't compromise your quality of coverage, but you can still save your money. And then as we're making the move, and we're telling them, by the way, this was just yesterday, by the way, you have $922 in the next 3 weeks that are going to be mailed to you, because that's the part of your premium that's earned cash value. Right. They're always so excited, because they kind of forget that they're going to have that. The other thing is that when something does happen and you lose a spouse or somebody you love, there are so many things that are on your mind. Just like what you're saying with that client, there's just so many things they're going through. And I had somebody that was, just like I was saying, pretty well set as far as they felt when they talked to me with investments and secure. But she saw the investment and the how it was a value to take out the Medicare Supplement, the life, because it was actually a lesser premium than other companies without. And she said, we're pretty well set, but I am going to take a small one out because I'd like to leave something for my grandchildren. Right? Well, then her husband, a few years down the line, passed away. She called back and said, I'd like to increase my life insurance for myself. This is when she was letting us know about her husband. And I said, well, I thought you said you already are set for your end. And she said, Diane, it really opened my eyes. She said, that money that I had set aside didn't end up, it's not going to the grandkids, because there were so many incidental things at the funeral that I wasn't anticipating. Like their funeral had been paid for like 20 years ago. She didn't want to pull things out of her annuities or anything where she was going to incur a penalty, and all that. And she said it was the simplest thing I've done. I just, as far as she turned in the death certificate, 72 hours later, they were sending her the money, and she said, It was a small policy, but she said every bit of it's gone. There is nothing to leave to the grandchildren. And she said, now I want to take out a policy so I can. So, I mean, I think it's whether you don't have to have a huge amount, but any amount of income is definitely helpful.
Absolutely. Well, and if you look at what the cost of a premium is versus the value, it takes years for somebody to actually pay into a life insurance policy before they, if they, for an example, if they had a $20 premium, you multiply that by 12, add up all the years, it takes a long time before you actually have paid into that policy to reap that $10,000 benefit or whatever that is. So I know from personal experience, life insurance with whole life, the premiums, the face value outweighs the premiums, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. You're going to get more value out of that for a smaller premium. So
Because it pays on day one.
it does pay.
And I can attest personally, because for anybody out there who's thinking, well, I've got more than enough life insurance, a few years ago after COVID, there was a big article that came out. You probably remember it. And it said, life insurance companies decided not to gamble on older Americans due to the coronavirus. So anybody that was 60 years of age or older with big companies, I mean, Prudential, Mutual of Omaha, some big companies with big names, they just weren't accepting new policies. And really, these companies didn't really care, Brittany, whether you were in perfect health. If you hadn't been in the hospital since your mama gave birth to you, they did not care. It was just, no, we don't want the risk, because at that time during COVID, we had everybody in the United States in the hospital, in intensive care, on ventilators, and so the death rate was at its all-time high. So insurance companies just said, no, we don't want the risk. Right. Well, at that time, my husband and I, Stuart, obviously you know him, we at that time were waiting to get a life policy until we got on Medicare, because we pay an absorbent amount of money for our plan that we have now. Right. And so, really a lot, $2,400 worth a lot. And so we just thought, well, we'll just wait. Our justification for waiting a couple of years was, first of all, we were blessed, our home was paid for. The kids were out of college. We didn't have college funds. We had money in the bank. We had investments. To top it all off, we were pretty good candidates. We're both in excellent health. He works out 6 days a week. I work out 4 days a week. We don't take any prescriptions, hormones, that's it. So we're a good candidate for this. Well, Stuart works on the annuity side. He works in finance. He's a finance major. And when that article came out, he said, no, honey, we can't wait. And Mrs. Brilliant of 30 years, I'll tell you what I said. Why? We are paying a fortune. We're healthy. We have money in the bank. Now, I listen. As much as I hate to admit it, he's usually right all the time, but he just said, honey, we have no idea what direction the world is going to go. We don't know if everything is going to go up. We don't know if we're going to be pulling over here from savings. The stock market can crash. We don't want all our assets liquid. He said, we're going to take out a policy. He actually took out 3, and so I took out a policy because at that time it was hard to get a larger amount from one company. Little did I know, though, Brittany, that if I had not done that, never in a million years would I thought that when it came time for me to get one, I would not qualify. Because the end of last year, as you know, I had a left kidney and adrenal gland removed because they found a 10-centimeter malignant tumor. The praise the Lord is that they got it all. Now, the really good news is God made us where we can live with one kidney, one adrenal gland. And I've got one of each, and I'm doing great. Second of all, I'm 100% cancer-free. It didn't go anywhere. I don't have to have radiation. I don't have to have chemotherapy. But you know what that did? It eliminated me, regardless of how wonderful I am, how good God is. I still cannot get a life policy for the next, 3 to 5 to 10 years, depending on the company. So again, that time would have came, and I'd say, yeah, now's a good time. Yeah. But unfortunately, it would not be a good time for me. And so the best time to do anything is when you can qualify, right?
100%. 100%. I heard from a wise man once that he said one of the best, and you know the wise man, one of the best investments you can make is to get a life insurance policy, specifically whole life. And the more you can get, the better. Right? So it's going to continue to have value, but I do know a wise man that told me that another wise man told him that. So it is true to get all the life insurance you can, because it's important. And who doesn't want to leave something back behind for their family? You know, who wants to be the person that doesn't pass on that seed to somebody else? Who wants to be the one to leave a mess behind for their family? That is something I absolutely do not want. Don't want our clients to have to go through. It's hard. We have a client actually who her husband did that, had gotten a life insurance policy, he canceled it. She had to come out of retirement, go back to work for the expenses that she'd incurred, which is so sad. And who wants to do that in their 60s, 70s, 80s, ever, you know, to have to pay back on a funeral expense?
Well, if you'll remember, we had somebody right down the street that where we go, is that who you're talking to?
Yes.
Yeah, talking about
Yes.
that we go get our, yeah. Because he said it was a small policy, they had more than enough money, and then he canceled it. I didn't know that's the same person. And then it wasn't even very much long after he canceled it, within like 6 months or something, he passed away, and then she ended up going back to work because of it. And she's still working. Yeah. And it was just a small amount. It's really sad because they had the money to pay for it too. It wasn't even that much, but it was enough, it impacted her, that she said, I need to go back to work. So I guess everybody doesn't have all the money in the world, and so it never hurts to be protected.
Still an excellent investment, no matter what. I mean, you're gaining benefit one way or the other, whether it be living, whether it be after the Lord calls you home. Whole life insurance has a benefit either way.